Welcome to SkuberFacts. I am Scuba, these are my facts. So I'm here playing Squadrons, EA Squadrons on the release day. It's the first time I played a game on a release day probably in a long time. Been pretty excited for this game. I mean, I've literally been playing Star Wars Starfighter games since the mid-90s, 96, X-Wing vs TIE Fighter. And then obviously there's been different iterations throughout the last, what are we on, like nearly 30 years? Whoa. Crazy. So jumping straight into Squadrons. So we got character creation for both Empire and Rebel. So I don't know how much that's going to play in, whether it's merely a bit of a cosmetic sort of thing, but at least it gives you that kind of customization. That matters to a lot of people. For me personally, I don't mind playing a story the way the creators, the developers wanted it played. Jedi Fallen Order was a good example. A lot of people disliked the fact that you had to play as that one protagonist, whereas for me, I'm kind of okay with that if it's relevant to the story. If it's not relevant to the story, then why not? Customization is cool. Okay, so obviously I sped this up a little bit. all the characters don't really sound like that. Scubella, Scubita. I tend to pay as female characters, don't know why. If I'm weird, I'm weird. I think a lot of guys do that though, right? Okay, so we've got different settings, standard and instruments only. So basically standard is kind of more gamer friendly, whereas instruments obviously going to be more of a realistic kind of experience. Difficulty levels, going with pilot, it's kind of like the basic without cutting out a lot of the functionality of flying the Starfighter. Okay, so we're going to cut straight into the Imperial side. So you start off the game as an Imperial pilot and then you move over into a Rebel pilot. I've cut out pretty much the Imperial part because it's just showing you the basics, flying around, targeting.
Begin pre-flight checks. Pilot, boot up your
so there's
cockpit
no
systems.
third person.
Absolutely.
It's all first person, so obviously you're inside the craft. But that's consistent with Star Wars Starfighter games, I feel. I wouldn't want to play from outside the craft. That's more of a
Pre-flight complete. Let's get a clean launch.
that's something that a gamer would want, not a pilot, you know? For me, it's about getting that experience of launching out of the Star Destroyer and flying on your own
and deploy out of the hangar.
in a TIE Fighter. That's what the game's about. Obviously, when you're playing Starfighter battles in a game like Battlefront 2, you're third person. It works for the type of game it is. Yeah. So we're going to cut straight into the Rebel. We've got this, the entirety of this first mission. I think this is pretty much the prologue. It looks great, it feels great. I'm playing with a controller.
Hanging in there.
I would be very interested to see how this feels with a joystick and a thrust control. You know, you got the joystick one hand, your thrust control in the other.
That call sounds desperate.
I think that would change the gameplay quite a lot.
They're working on it. Okay, Echo Squadron on me.
So you can see down in the bottom left, that's the thrust control.
Echo leader here. Admiral,
There's a lot going on
distress call.
with regards to the controls. There's a lot of options, a lot of things that you can change. I'll point it out as we go.
Echo, prepare for systems check. Coming back around, Squadron. On
Okay,
me.
so here's the systems check. So this is going to
So
tell
much
us
for a quiet patrol.
basically the inside of the cockpit and what we're looking for.
All right then.
Okay, so there's the throttle gauge that I mentioned just. There's the power management. So you've got engines, lasers, shields. So you can adjust those depending on the situation that you're in. There you go, so I've boosted
If we're up against a Star Destroyer,
engines,
we'll need maneuver
giving more speed and agility.
Fast and nimble. Got it.
So yeah, as I just said, laser charge, cannons, recharge quicker and off stronger. And then shields, pretty self-explanatory. You're going to take more hits.
Shields.
Right. We might need to hold out a while.
And then there you go to rebalance the power, just in like a normal
Formation.
flying
Matching formation.
situation.
Echo 2 standing by. Echo 5 standing by.
Look at us, flying together.
Okay, Squadron. Anyone low on missiles needs to stock up now. Head to the U-wing for resupply.
Looks great. Obviously the game has been at a reduced price point, which, well, I say obviously, I didn't know that until I came to buy it. I mean, I was expecting to pay £60 for this game. So I looked into it and the price point has been dropped because, well, EA say it doesn't offer the breadth of game that they would usually expect from a standard pricing point. I'm not really sure exactly what that means. I think they say that it focuses so closely on the X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, dogfighting, starfighter kind of model that it hasn't got the wider range to offer, which I think is a great move by EA. Who would have ever thought it would be EA dropping price points? Looks great, man. Looks great.
Admiral,
Okay, there we go.
we're here.
Cut into a second attempt because the first time I went straight into the Star Destroyer and it didn't go too well.
Echo Squadron, transfer all power to engines.
Apart from that, I haven't really had any collisions apart from when I've been shooting other ships and then flying through the
Close to the
debris.
Star Destroyer's hull should get us to the other side safely.
So there's Echo Squadron.
Steady. Hold. Now, fire all boost thrusters. Echo 5, wait, you're too...
Yeah, that's where I got killed last time.
5.
I think I went flying into
We are not losing anyone else.
too headstrong. So this is a real good introduction to the kind of dogfighting elements that they've based this game around.
The convoy needs support.
Targeting can be difficult.
That was an Imperial transmission.
You're pressing X to cycle through different targets, but I don't know if that's exactly how you target the closest craft.
Someone heard my
So sometimes you can have craft firing on you and you're targeting a craft 1,000 kilometers away.
If you'll take me. Call me
I
later.
guess there's going to be
I'll explain later.
there must be a button or a setting where you target the nearest craft.
Echo 4, leave that quasar for now. Focus on ties.
There we go, so we're picking up
We better
crafts.
get rid of those ties. Fire missiles.
Nice.
Bring your shots. It's me.
Now don't get me wrong, to watch it looks like, man, there's a lot going on there, and there is. But I suppose it's something that you put a little bit of time into and you get used to.
Joined up. Defend the convoy before it's too late.
See, I found myself quite often just
Anyone got missiles?
putting some power into the engines, getting out of there, coming back around.
With you.
So you've got your trusty R2 unit in the X-Wing. He takes care of the repairs, things like that.
I couldn't let the Empire destroy more innocents from Alderaan in the name of security.
So you told the Empire where to stick it?
Missile lock, boom. That was nice. But of course, with all, you know, dogfighting simulators, whether it's real world or whether it's, you know, this kind of thing, it can be tricky. You know, keeping on target while avoiding being hit as well. It's not an easy genre to just jump into. and I'm very interested to see how the multiplayer goes, because traditionally multiplayer starfighter simulations have been real difficult.
Spider on my tail.
Part of me is tempted to get the joystick, but I don't know how much time I'm going to put into this game. I'm definitely going to put a bit of time into it, because it feels like it's a game made for me. I've been saying for years, why haven't they made an X-Wing Business TIE Fighter remake? I mean, that game was amazing. Also, the Old Republic has got a really good starfighter. Kind of, I don't know if you call it a mini game element. Yeah, let's say that element. Missile targeting is a lot easier than I imagined. For example, in the Old Republic, you kind of hold down the right mouse button, and then when you've got the lock, you release, and that's a real kind of difficult. It's hard to stay on target with something like that. See, it's like that situation. You can't tell me that that guy's the closest TIE fighter to me. Maybe he was. Noticed that the rest of the squadron were on formation, so perhaps that was just the progression of the level, you know?
Echo Squadron, let's get in position and escort these transports.
I'm right beside you.
This is Admiral Akbar, the Rebel Alliance. Echo Leader reports you're willing to defect.
Willing and able.
Okay, so you picked that up in the first part of the prologue. Basically a TIE fighter's pilot or some kind of commander. Squadron leader? Yeah, let's say that. Some kind of squadron leader has defected to the rebellion after what the Empire did to Alderaan. So that's kind of like the setup for the game. Which is quite an interesting concept, and I watched a video, could have been a Eckhart's Ladder video, on how the more the Death Star would have been used if it not been destroyed, more and more people, more and more troops would have defected, because these people were from those planets, you know? It's an interesting idea.
Reinforcements are here.
That Corvette is a beautiful sight. Corvette Captain, focus on the Quasar. We'll mop up the ties.
Thanks.
Here for support, Echo Leader.
One less to worry about. You're clear behind.
Echo, you have more ties incoming. Take them down.
They're tailing me.
So I'm interested to see what the Empire's got in the way of ships, because obviously
Good looking
there's
out.
not a lot of great deal of ships with shields on the Empire, which was always an advantage that the Rebellion had. And I think something on the lines of that, canonically, the reason for that was the company that created the X-Wing was taken over by the Empire and basically absorbed. They weren't allowed to continue operating, so the guys who had designed the X-Wing had fled before the Empire was able to capture them, and they took those designs over to the Rebellion. Which is a cool little bit of lore, right?
Got him.
Okay, we're getting towards the end. No, we're not. I apologise, we've got 5 minutes or so to go yet. This dogfighting is dragged out a little bit. Obviously, it's a prologue. It's giving you a taste of what the game is. And I'll be honest, you could probably do it quicker than I did it.
That's all the ties down.
It's a little bit fiddly. It's a bit fiddly with the controls, cycling targets, adjusting the thrust, adjusting the powers.
Yeah, way to deal with that Quasar. Nice work.
And I think a keyboard and mouse is probably an easier way to control.
Let's make the most of it.
When I think back to X-Men vs TIE Fighter, that was how it was. You know, you
Safer position.
either had a mouse and a mouse
Admiral,
and a keyboard,
I
or a
know
joystick
how
and a
this Imperial
keyboard.
fleet operates. I can tell they're prepping their capital ships for an attack right now. We need backup.
All right, I'll send you the rest of Echo Squadron with everything they've got.
Heading towards a Star Destroyer. Again. Facing its turrets this time.
Fleet is now at your location. Echo Squadron, keep the convoy safe while the flagship engages the Vigilance.
Leave it to us.
Wait. The Empire's sending in a raider to intercept the convoy. We have to take that raider down. Pilot, with me.
Okay, there you go. So you've got a choice there. You can either divert to power to lasers or to shields. I think it's kind of prepping you for making those choices. How am I going to go in here? Am I going to go in defensively and put power into the shields? Or am I going to go in offensively and put power into the lasers?
Starting another attack run.
You know, and that's a good example there.
The raiders lost shields.
I'm at full throttle firing on craft, and I'm flying past it and having to make another pass. Whereas what you really want to be doing is getting close, dropping your throttle, and then putting
Careful. Let your lasers recharge.
lasers and missiles onto the craft from there.
Warriors tough.
At least the fleet's keeping that Star Destroyer busy.
You're ruining my paint job.
We're wearing them down. Keep it up.
Yes, we're almost there.
I'm taking fire. How's the convoy doing? Holding up. For now. That'll leave a mark.
Okay, there we go. Boom! See ya.
Raider is gone. Good work. Echo, let's get that convoy to a safer location.
Head to the far side of the MC-80.
Frigate's gone.
Refugee convoy. We're out of time. We've got to get you out of here.
Refugee convoy to Rebel Alliance. We're ready for lightspeed jump.
Wait. The Star Destroyer will be watching all possible vectors. They can still find you. Pilot, it's risky. But if we can destroy the targeting system on the Vigilance, we might throw them off the convoy's trail.
Wait. You two are attacking the Star Destroyer?
Okay, so here we go. Let's take the Star Destroyer out.
Keep those shields down. Strike here. We can take down the Vigilance's target.
So here's a good example of what I was talking about just. I'm firing on the target, but I'm coming in too fast. So I've got to break off, and I've got to circle back around and come in for another pass.
The Star Destroyer occupied.
But if you notice on the throttle control on the bottom left, as I come back for the second pass, I drop the throttle, do I? Oh no, I didn't. I was going to, but then it blew up anyway, so. But yeah, as you're coming back in, you drop the throttle,
Convoy vessels. Prep
unload your
lightspeed
payload,
jump.
throttle back out.
Echo Squadron, withdraw and handle any fighters near the convoy.
You did it. Now both of you get clear.
And there you go. Straight into the hyperspace lane and let's get out of there.
You saved a lot of innocent lives. And mine.
I'm really looking forward to some
Thank you.
large scale
Did for us.
strategic battles.
All ships, prepare for lightspeed.
And that for me is what's going to make or break the game. I don't want to be handheld. I don't want objective here, objective there, objective there. But maybe that's going to be the game. I don't know. We'll see. 4 years later, then it's going to take us basically
We
into
all choose our path. Light
the
or
rest of the
dark,
game.
freedom or destruction.
The Empire
R.I.P.
chose to
Alderaan.
destroy Alderaan in order to spread fear and douse the fires of rebellion. But the heroic pilots of the Rebel Alliance have chosen to keep fighting, to show the Empire that we are not afraid.
Is that a little bit of a throwback to one of the earliest flight simulator, Star Wars flight simulators? You remember that arcade machine? It was like just lines. You was TIE fighters and you sat in the machine and you went down shooting down the trench. See if I can find a picture of it up here somewhere. Here, up here.
They try to tighten their grip. But the galaxy is changing, and you can be a part of it.
There we go, beautiful. Squadrons, the starting, the openings. Sorry if my voice is a little bit croaky, it's late, I've been up early, I've been to work, I've put the baby to bed, and I just wanted to get a bit of a jump on this video. I've been thinking about it all day, I wanted to play, I wanted to make a little video. So yeah, hit the like and subscribe if you liked it, if you want to subscribe, if you want to see some more. I will be making some more Squadrons videos. I'm not going to do a playthrough, I'm probably just going to pick out some highlights, maybe some interesting battles, and then we'll see what the multiplayer's got to offer. Cool, see you guys.